The battlefield was quiet now. Smoke rose from broken ships. The sky was dark, filled with fire and ash. Metal parts lay scattered. Bodies, both alien and human, lay still. It was the end of a terrible war. But something strange was happening. A huge alien, 10 feet tall, covered in black armor with glowing red eyes, was kneeling on one knee. He was the apex, the deadliest warrior in the galaxy. His name was General Zurok, and entire planets feared him. But now, he knelt in silence. In front of him stood a young human girl. She looked weak, tired and injured. Blood dripped from a cut on her forehead. Her clothes were torn. She held no weapon. She had no army. Her name was Ella. She was just a girl from Earth 3 weeks earlier. Ella lived in a small town near the woods. Her life was simple. She liked books, tea, and walking under the stars. She was not strong. She was not famous. She was just Ella. Her parents were kind but busy. They worked late. Her friends often forgot her. At school, no one really noticed. Sometimes Ella felt like she was invisible. One night she sat on a hill watching the sky. The stars were bright. The moon was full. "I wonder what's out there," she whispered. Something moved above. A flash of blue light shot across the sky. It wasn't a plane. It wasn't a star. It stopped, right above her. Then, it came down. Faster than sound. Brighter than fire. Before she could scream, a beam of white light hit her, and the world disappeared. Ella woke up in a strange room. The walls were silver. The lights were soft and blue. There was no bed, only a smooth platform. She touched the wall. It felt warm. She was not on Earth anymore. A door opened with a quiet hiss. 2 creatures walked in. They were tall, with gray skin and long arms. Their eyes glowed green. They did not speak. But Ella heard a voice in her head. "Do not be afraid, human." Ella sat up fast. "Where am I? What do you want from me?" The voice came again. "You have been chosen." "Chosen for what?" "The soul fire has awakened. You must come with us." Ella shook her head. "I don't understand. I'm just a girl. I'm nobody." The aliens looked at each other. That is what makes it strange. They took her to a large window. Outside, space stretched wide and endless. Stars moved past like rivers of light. Planets spun slowly in the distance. A fleet of ships was flying with them. Hundreds of them. Some were as big as mountains. Ella's heart beat faster. "What is going on?" she asked. One alien replied, "You are now part of the galaxy's most important event. The Apex are coming." Far away, in another part of the galaxy, General Zurok stood on the bridge of his warship. He was known as the Apex, the strongest, most dangerous species in the universe. He had never lost a battle. He crushed worlds. He silenced rebellions. No one could stand against him. But now, he felt something strange, a signal, a call, a pull in his mind. The old stories spoke of something called the soul fire, a power lost for thousands of years. It only awakened once every age. The legend said when the soul fire returned, the apex would kneel. General Zurok growled. "It cannot be," he said. "Not now." His officer came close. "The source has been found on a small planet. Earth." Back on the alien ship, Ella sat in a quiet room. The aliens brought her food. It was warm, soft, and glowing slightly. She didn't eat it. She was scared. She wanted to go home. But something inside her was changing. At night, she saw strange dreams of stars falling, of fire in her hands, of people bowing to her. One morning, she touched the wall and it glowed. The ship answered her without words. The aliens watched in shock. "She is already connecting," one whispered. "No human should do this," said another. But Ella didn't understand. She didn't even try. It just happened. Somewhere in deep space, a dozen alien leaders held a secret meeting. They were afraid. The human girl must be destroyed, one said. If the apex kneel to her, the balance of power is broken, said another. She is a threat to all of us. But someone was listening. General Zurok. He stood in the shadows, silent. He looked at the stars. Then he said one word. No. Back in her room, Ella stood by the window. She looked out into the galaxy. She still didn't know why she was taken. She didn't know what the soul fire was. She didn't know why her hands sometimes glowed when she felt strong emotions. But she knew one thing. Something big was coming. And she was right. Because the apex predator was on his way to kneel before her. The stars outside Ella's window looked peaceful, but her heart was not. She sat alone in a quiet room on the alien ship. The walls were smooth and silver. Everything looked advanced, clean, and cold. A soft hum filled the air. She didn't know how long she had been there. There were no clocks, no night or day, just stars and questions. Why me? Why now? What is the soul fire? Ella had no answers. No one really explained. The tall gray aliens only spoke through the voice in her head. They were careful with her. Kind, but nervous. It was like they were guarding something dangerous, and that something was her. The door slid open with a soft hiss. A new alien entered. This one was different. He was taller than the others, with gold marks on his face and sharp silver eyes. He wore dark robes. He bowed slightly. I am Viel, the voice in Ella's mind said, High Keeper of the Stars. Ella didn't move. Where am I? In safe hands, young one. You are on the vessel's celestial path. Why did you take me? She asked. I didn't do anything. Viel stepped closer. He didn't smile, but his voice was calm. The soul fire chose you. We only followed its call. I don't know what that means. Viel nodded. You will. They took her to a new room, a large glowing chamber. In the center floated a strange object. It looked like a crystal, but it moved like liquid. It shimmered with colors that didn't exist on Earth. Ella stared at it. Her chest felt warm, like something inside her was waking up. Vale spoke again. This is the heart of the void. It responds to the soul fire. When you stand near it, it should. Before he finished, the crystal pulsed with light. A wave of energy rippled through the room. Alarms rang out. The other aliens gasped. The heart was glowing bright. Because of Ella, she stepped back, afraid. What's happening? Vial's eyes were wide. You don't understand, child. That reaction should only happen in the presence of a god. Across the galaxy, on a burning red planet, General Zurok stood on top of a mountain. The wind blew hard, but he didn't move. In his hand, he held a weapon made from the bones of fallen enemies. His armor was scarred from thousands of battles. He was old, strong, and feared. But now, he felt something strange. A voice in his mind, soft, familiar, calling him. The soul fire had returned, and it was inside a human girl. He turned to his second in command. Prepare the flagship, he said. We go to the human. Back on the ship, Ella sat in a room filled with glowing lights. Machines scanned her. Small drones floated around recording data. She hated it. She wasn't sick. She wasn't a test subject. She just wanted to go home. But the truth was, something was changing inside her. She could feel it. When she was scared, the lights flickered. When she was angry, the floor shook. When she cried, things floated in the air. At first she thought it was a dream, but now she knew. It was real. The power was growing. Later that day, Vale returned. He looked serious. The Apex are coming, he said. Ella blinked. Who? General Zurok, the Predator of Worlds, the Master of War. The Apex. Ella frowned. Why is he coming here? Because he felt you. Because he dreams of the soul fire. Because in the ancient texts of his people, it says when the Soulfire rises, the apex must kneel. Ella shook her head. I don't want anyone to kneel to me, I don't even want this thing inside me. Vial's voice grew softer. You do not get to choose. The Soulfire has already chosen you. In the great chamber, the crew of the ship watched as the Apex flagship appeared on their sensors. It was massive, black and gold, shaped like a blade, big enough to block out a moon. Fear filled the air. The Apex never visit. They only conquer. But today, General Jurok was coming in peace. The docking bay opened. Jurok stepped out. He was taller than any creature Ella had ever seen. His eyes glowed like fire. His skin was rough like armor. He had claws, fangs, and a presence that made even strong soldiers shake. He walked slowly, calmly, each step like thunder. He came alone. No weapons. No guards. He entered the chamber where Ella waited. The room fell silent. Ella stood, confused and scared. Jurok stopped in front of her. He looked down at the small human girl. Then, he did something no one expected. He dropped to one knee, his head lowered, and he spoke. Soulfire, I am yours. Ella sat in silence. The lights in the room were dim now. The walls were cracked. Pieces of metal floated in the air, slowly falling. Her breathing was heavy. Jurok stood nearby, watching her closely. He had pulled the bodies of the assassins out. The smell of melted armor still lingered. I didn't mean to kill them, Ella whispered again. Her hands were still warm. Her skin still glowed in soft pulses. It felt like lightning was moving under her skin. Jurok nodded slowly. The Soulfire defends its host. You acted out of fear. But I couldn't control it, she said. What if I do it again? What if I hurt someone else? The Apex warrior stepped closer and knelt beside her. His voice was quiet, calm. You are not a weapon, Ella. You are something much greater. The fire does not control you unless you let it. Tears filled her eyes. I didn't ask for this. No one ever does, he said. Far away, on Earth, things were not normal. The sky had changed. Satellites had vanished. Night skies over. Many cities were now filled with strange blinking lights. Governments were scared. Phones were down. Rumors spread fast. Some people thought it was war. Others said it was aliens. They were right. Hidden in Earth's orbit, cloaked ships watched closely. Some belonged to the Council, others to races that believed in old prophecies, and some waited to strike. The universe was now watching a single human girl. Back on the alien ship, Ella followed Jurok into a new part of the ship, an old training room. It was huge. The walls were covered in claw marks and scorch burns. Weapons of every kind hung on the walls, blades, blasters, energy staffs. This is where I became who I am, Jurok said. Ella looked around. Why bring me here? You must learn to control the Soulfire or it will destroy you. Ella looked unsure. How? Jurok pointed to his head. Not with muscles. With discipline. With focus. He picked up a blade and held it in front of her. It is time you stop being afraid of what you are. For the next 3 days, Jurok trained Ella. Not in weapons, but in balance. In breath. In thought. When she grew angry, the lights flickered. When she grew calm, the lights softened. On the third night, she sat alone in the dark and closed her eyes. She imagined the stars, the wind, the trees from Earth, and the fire inside her stopped fighting. It listened. It became quiet. Vial entered the training room the next morning with news. The Council has declared you a threat, he said. They plan to put a bounty on your head, across the entire galaxy. Ella looked down. So now I'm wanted. Yes, Vial said. Some will come to kill you. Some will come to worship you. And some will try to use you. Jurok growled. Let them come. Vial looked between the two of them. You don't understand. This is not just about one girl. The balance of power is breaking. I never wanted power, Ella said softly. But you have it, Vale replied. and the galaxy does not forgive power that is not controlled. Later in the ship's command room, a warning flashed on the screen. Enemy ship approaching. Fast. Unidentified class. Not Council, not Apex. Shirok narrowed his eyes. A bounty hunter. Vile checked the signals. No, this one is worse. Ella stared at the screen. A dark, sharp-looking ship was flying straight toward them. It had no colors, no flags, just black metal and red engines. What is it? She asked. Vale's voice was tight. That ship belongs to Vorax, a Voidborn. Ella blinked. Voidborn? Shirok's face turned serious. He is not a soldier. He is a collector of rare beings. He hunts them, cages them, and sells them to the highest bidder. Ella felt sick. He's coming for me. Yes, Vile said, and he will not ask nicely. The ship was hit. Hard. The lights blinked, sparks flew, alarms screamed. Shields at 40%, shouted a pilot. Shirok stood, his voice steady. Prepare to repel boarding. Ella stood too. I'm coming. Shirok looked at her. You are not ready. I'll never be ready if I keep running. He paused, then nodded. Stay close. When the enemy ship attached, a sound like metal screaming filled the halls. The door burst open. Figures in black armor poured in. Vorax's hunters. They had no eyes, only helmets with red slits. They carried stun weapons and nets. They didn't speak. Shirok moved like lightning. His blade tore through them. Ella followed behind, her hands glowing with soft white fire. When one hunter reached for her, the fire in her palm flared, and he flew back like a broken doll. She was not just surviving now. She was fighting. Finally, the hallway fell silent. The last hunter hit the floor. And then, he arrived. Vorax. 7 feet tall. Body like a shadow. Eyes like empty stars. He stepped into the light, slow and quiet. I came for the girl, he said, his voice like ice. Give her to me, and I will let the rest of you live. Shirok stepped forward. You made a mistake coming here. Vorax smiled. No, the mistake was letting her live. Suddenly he raised his hand and the entire ship shook. Ella felt her chest burn, not with fear, but with power. She stepped beside Shirok, and the soul fire answered her call. The room was completely silent. Even the machines had stopped humming. General Shirok, the Apex, the galaxy's strongest warrior, remained kneeling before a human girl. Ella didn't move. Her heart pounded in her chest. She didn't understand what was happening. She wasn't special, she wasn't powerful, but this creature, feared across thousands of worlds, was bowing to her like she was a queen. Or something even greater. She looked around. The alien scientists were frozen in shock. Some stared with fear. Others looked confused. One even dropped a tablet. Shirok raised his head slowly. I felt your presence in my dreams, he said in a deep, growling voice. The fire inside you called to me. Ella took a step back. I didn't call anyone. No, Shirok said, but the soul fire inside you did. Vile, the High Keeper, stepped forward, looking nervous. General Shirok, this is not allowed. You broke the first contact protocol. Shirok stood tall. I follow no law but the soul fire, and it has awakened in her. She is a human, Vale said sharply. Her species is primitive. We are not supposed to interfere. Shirok turned his burning eyes on him. You did not interfere. You kidnapped her from Earth. Vile was silent. Ella stepped between them. I'm right here, you know, and I'd really like to go home. Shirok shook his head. You cannot go home. Not now. Too many eyes are watching. Too many powers want you dead. Ella's face went pale. Why? Vile answered quietly. Because when the soul fire rises, empires fall. Far across the stars, in the Grand Galactic Council, leaders of powerful alien races sat around a glowing table. Holograms flickered in the air. Images of Ella, of the apex kneeling, of the energy wave from the heart of the void. Panic filled the room. A tall, blue-skinned leader slammed his hand on the table. She's just a human. Earth isn't even a member of the Galactic Alliance. She holds the soul fire, another said. That makes her more than a human. If the apex follow her, others will too, whispered a third. Do we want a child commanding armies? A decision was made. She must be eliminated quietly before the news spreads. Back on the ship, Ella sat with her head in her hands. She didn't ask for any of this. She just wanted to go home. Back to her quiet life. Back to books and tea and boring school days. Now she was being told she held a power that could break the galaxy. She looked up at Xurok. Why are you really here, Lee? Xurok sat on the floor across from her. It was strange, this massive, terrifying warrior sitting calmly like a student in class. I saw the soul fire once before, he said, many years ago, in a battle. A small child walked into a field of war. No weapon, no armor. But the fighting stopped. Both sides fell to their knees. The child disappeared. Some say it was just a story. But I remember. Ella frowned. What happened after that? The war ended, Xurok said, and the galaxy forgot. But you didn't. No. I have waited for the soul fire to return ever since. Ella's voice was soft. And now that it's me? Xurok bowed his head. I will protect you. Even if it means war. That night, while the ship floated in deep space, something crept aboard, a silent shuttle. No lights, no sound. It attached itself to the ship's hull, hidden from sensors. Inside were 5 assassins from the Council. Their mission: kill the human girl, make it look like an accident. Blame the Apex if needed. They wore cloaks that bent light. They carried knives that cut through metal. No one had ever seen their faces. They moved fast and quiet. Toward Ella's room, Ella couldn't sleep. Her mind was full of fire and noise. When she closed her eyes, she saw stars exploding. She saw people kneeling. She saw herself floating in space, glowing with light. Then the door opened. But it wasn't Vielle. It wasn't Xurok. 5 tall figures stepped in. No words. No warning. They raised their blades. Ella screamed, and the room exploded with white light. Down the hallway, Xurok felt the surge. He ran. His heavy boots crushed the floor. The ship rocked as alarms blared. He reached the door and tore it open. Inside, the 5 assassins were pinned to the walls by pure light. They floated. In the air, frozen, unable to move, their blades had melted. Their cloaks were burning. Ella stood in the center of the room. Her eyes glowed. Her hair floated. Energy flowed around her like a storm. She wasn't just scared. She was awakening. Xurok stepped forward slowly. It has begun, he whispered. In the council chamber, the lights dimmed. A new signal had reached them, footage from the ship. They saw what happened. They saw the soul fire rise. They saw the assassins die without a touch. One leader stood. It's too late now, he said. We can't stop her, another growled. Then we prepare for war. Back on the ship, Ella collapsed into Xurok's arms. He held her gently like a father would a child. She looked up at him, tired and confused. I didn't mean to hurt them. I know, Xurok said. But I did. Yes. She looked at her hands. What am I becoming? Xurok's voice was quiet and full of truth. You are becoming what the galaxy fears, and what it needs. The ship trembled. Lights flickered. Pipes hissed. Sparks rained down from the ceiling. Vorak stood tall in the hallway, his black armor reflecting the red warning lights. His voice echoed through the walls like cold steel. I came to take what is mine. Ella stood beside Xurok. Her hands were glowing again, but this time she wasn't shaking. She wasn't running. She was ready. You're not taking anything, she said firmly. Vorax tilted his head, curious. You still don't understand what you are. That power inside you, it doesn't belong to you, it belongs to the void. No, Ella said. It belongs to me. In a flash, Vorax raised his hand. A wave of dark energy shot toward her like a crashing storm. Shurok jumped in front of her and blocked it with his blade. The blast threw him back, slamming him into the wall. He groaned but stood back up, blood on his lips. Ella's eyes burned bright. "You shouldn't have done that," she said. The fire inside her chest rose. She felt it in her arms, her fingers, her mind. This time she didn't try to stop it. She let it rise. The soul fire exploded from her body. A wave of golden white energy burst through the hallway. Everything went silent, completely silent, for one perfect second. Then chaos. The floor cracked beneath her. The walls bent outward. The black-armored hunters behind Vorax were thrown backwards like leaves in a storm. Vorax raised a shield, but even he stumbled. His voice was not calm anymore. "What are you?" Ella took a step forward. "I'm done being scared." She raised both hands. The soul fire wrapped around her like armor, shining, moving, alive. On the bridge, Vielle and the crew watched the energy readings spike. One of the engineers shouted, "This power is off the charts." She's bending the ship," Vale whispered. "She's not bending the ship, she's bending reality." Another crew member gasped. "That's impossible." "No," Vale said. "That's the soul fire. It doesn't follow rules, it makes new ones." Back in the hallway, Vorax growled and charged. He moved fast like a blur, swinging a whip of pure void energy. Ella blocked it without touching it, her energy forming a glowing shield in front of her. The two powers clashed, dark void against pure soul fire. The walls cracked, lights shattered. Then Ella struck back. She didn't punch. She thought, and the fire obeyed. A blast of energy hit Vorax in the chest and sent him flying through 3 walls. Smoke filled the air. Metal groaned. Sirens screamed. Shurok limped forward, breathing hard. "You are the fire, girl, let it burn." Vorax pulled himself from the rubble. His armor was cracked now. His left arm sparked. He snarled like a beast. No more games. He raised a strange device, a dark orb pulsing with unstable energy. Vale's voice echoed through the comms. "That's a gravity tear. He's going to collapse the ship." Ella didn't wait. She raised her hand, and in a heartbeat her body vanished in a flash of light. She appeared in front of Vorax. No walking, no flying, just thought. And she was there. Vorax didn't even have time to blink. She touched his chest and whispered, "Enough." A white light filled the hallway. No sound, no heat, just light. And then, silence. The gravity device fell to the floor. Vorax was gone. Not dead, not broken, just gone. Wiped from reality, erased by the soul fire. The ship slowly returned to normal. Systems came back online. The crew stared in shock. Ella stood in the middle of the ruined hallway, breathing hard. Her hands slowly dimmed. The fire inside her returned to a calm, gentle pulse. Shurok limped beside her, smiling. That was the soul fire unleashed. Ella looked at him, tired. "It felt like I was everywhere. And nowhere." "That's what makes you dangerous," Shurok said. "You don't just hold power. You are power." Later, in a quiet chamber, Ella sat alone. Her arms ached. Her mind was spinning. She had erased a being from existence. She didn't know if that made her a hero or something else. Vielle entered. Slower this time. No guards, no scans, just respect. "You saved us," he said. Ella shook her head. "I destroyed someone. He came to kill you." She looked away. "That doesn't make it easier." Vielle sat beside her. "You were chosen by something older than time. It does not pick the strongest, it picks the one who can carry the weight." "I don't know if I can." "You already have." Across the galaxy, news of Vorax's defeat spread. The Voidborn. Hunter, erased by a human girl. The story spread like fire, on warships, in council rooms, in secret temples. Some called her dangerous, others called her divine, but all called her real. The soul fire had returned, and nothing would ever be the same, again. Ella stared at her hands. They looked normal now. No glow, no fire, just skin and fingers. But she could still feel it. The soul fire, deep inside her chest like a storm waiting to break. She didn't feel powerful. She felt scared. She had erased a living being, not just killed. Erased. Vorax no longer existed. His name, his body, his life, gone. And she had done it in seconds. Jurak entered quietly. His armor was scratched. A bandage covered his side. "You are not eating," he said. Ella didn't look at him. "Would you eat after doing what I did?" Jurak sat down across from her. "You saved lives. I also ended one." He nodded. "And you will never forget that." "Good. You shouldn't." She looked up. "Then how do you live with it?" Jurak's voice was steady. "By remembering why you fought, and by never enjoying it." Outside the ship, in deep space, something strange was happening. Ships were gathering, small ones. Fast ones, some with flags, some without. They weren't council ships. They weren't Apex either. They were something else. Whispers, rumors, stories spreading across the stars. The girl with the fire. The one who burned the void. The human who bends light. Many came to find her. Some came to kill her. Some came to follow. Some came to see if the stories were true. On a moon station orbiting a red planet, a hooded figure leaned over a glowing table. Dozens of images floated in the air, news clips, sensor scans, energy readings. One of them showed Ella surrounded by light, eyes glowing. The figure smiled. "So it's true," she whispered. A voice behind her spoke. "Shall I prepare the council?" "No," she said. "Prepare the fleet." Back on the ship, Ella walked through the observation deck. She saw the stars stretch forever in all directions. She felt small again. She missed Earth. She missed trees. The sound of birds, the smell of rain. She missed being just a girl, not a symbol, not a weapon, not a flame, just Ella. Vielle appeared beside her. "I received a message," he said. "From Earth." Ella turned quickly. "From who?" "Your parents." Her heart jumped. "They're safe," Vielle said, "but the world is changing. Earth is no longer hidden. Too many have noticed." She looked out the window again. "Because of me." "Yes." In the council chamber of the Galactic Alliance, fear ruled. Alien leaders argued. Screens showed footage of Ella burning through Vorax's ship. "She is too dangerous. She must be stopped. If she joins the Apex, they'll start a war." One voice broke through. "She hasn't started a war," said the gray-skinned Arali Prime. "She's been defending herself." "And if she loses control?" Another snapped. "What happens then?" "We give her a choice," the Arali said. "Or we prepare for extinction." In the training room, Ella sat cross-legged, eyes closed. Jurak stood nearby, silent. "You're quiet today," Ella said. "You've changed." "Do you mean stronger?" "No, I mean heavier. You carry more." She opened her eyes. "I feel it too." "Then it's time," Jurak said. "Time for the next lesson." He placed a small black cube on the floor. "What is it?" she asked. "A memory keeper. It records your thoughts, your pain, your past." Ella stared at it. "Touch it," Jurak said. "If you truly want to understand what the soul fire is, you must face what's inside you." She touched the cube, and the world vanished. She stood in a memory. She was back on Earth, in her room. Rain tapped the window. She saw herself, young, scared, alone, crying. It was the day her dog died. She had felt helpless. She'd wished, begged, prayed for power, to bring him back, to stop bad things from happening. Then she was older, standing, in front of a school bully, angry, burning inside. She had wished to hurt him, not with fists, with something more. Ella stepped back. "Why am I seeing this?" A voice, Xerox echoed in the memory. Because the fire didn't choose you by accident. It was always watching. Ella dropped to her knees. She saw all her moments of fear, of anger, of helplessness, and in each, one. The soul fire flickered nearby, like it had waited, like it had grown inside her over time. She opened her eyes, panting. The cube dimmed. Xerox stood there. You are not chosen because you are perfect, he said. You are chosen because you feel, because you fight for what's right even when it hurts. Ella wiped her face. But what if one day I don't fight for what's right? Xerox placed a hand on her shoulder. Then I will stop you. That is the price of power. Ella nodded slowly. She understood now. The soul fire wasn't just energy. It was her pain, her hope, her anger, her love, and she had to carry it. Always. On the edge of the star system, the hooded fleet arrived, 50 ships, silent, deadly. At their center, a single ship glowing red, a transmission was sent to Ella's ship. The Seekers of Flame request an audience with the Soulfire host. We do not come to destroy. We come to kneel. Ella stood on the command deck watching the red glowing ship approach. Dozens of other ships floated around it like quiet shadows. No weapons were raised, no threats, just a message. We come to kneel. Viel checked the scans. Their weapons are powered down, no shields. They're not preparing for battle. Xerox didn't move. His eyes were locked on the screen. That doesn't mean they're harmless. Ella spoke softly. They called themselves the Seekers of Flame. Who are they? Viel shook his head. They don't belong to any known fleet. No history, no record. Xerox narrowed his eyes. Then they've been hiding a long time. Ella agreed to meet them, but not without protection. Xerox led a squad of Apex guards. Viel stayed connected through the comms, ready to override shields or fire up weapons if needed. The red ship docked slowly. No sound, just pressure and silence. When the door opened, no soldiers came out. Only one figure stepped forward. She wore white robes lined with glowing symbols. Her face was human, or close to it. Pale skin, gold eyes, and hair like silver threads. She bowed low. We greet the Soulfire host with peace and purpose. Ella stepped forward. I'm just Ella. I don't want anyone bowing. The woman smiled. You may not want it, but it has already begun. They moved to a quiet chamber. The woman introduced herself as Sahara of the Old Flame. We are the Seekers. We were born in the age before the Council, before Apex, before stars had names. We followed the Soulfire then, and we follow it now. Ella frowned. So you worship it? Sarah shook her head. We remember it. She placed a glowing crystal on the table. A hologram appeared. Ancient. Flickering. It showed another figure, glowing with the same light as Ella. She lived 1,000 years ago, Sarah said. Her name was Anya. She was like you, a human, touched by the flame. Xerox stepped forward. I thought the Soulfire vanished after the Celestial Wars. It did, Sarah said, because Anya chose to end it. She disappeared. The flame slept until you. Ella stared at the image of Anya. She looked strong, kind, brave, and sad. She looks like she carried a lot. Ella whispered. She did, Sarah said. Like you do now. Viel's voice came over the comm. We scanned their ship. You need to see this. Ella and Xerox returned to the bridge. A screen showed the red ship in full scan view. Look at the engine core, Viel said. Inside the core was not a reactor, not a battery. It was a person, a glowing one, a human-like figure suspended in light, eyes closed, arms crossed. Is that another Soulfire host? Ella asked. Viel nodded slowly. Or what's left of one. Sarah returned, sensing the shift. You keep someone alive inside your ship? Xerox growled. That's no way to honor the flame. She is not alive, Sarah said calmly. She is preserved. Her flame was unstable. She would have destroyed stars. We helped her sleep. Ella's voice was sharp. You trapped her. Sarah looked at her. We protected her. And protected everyone else. The soul fire is not kind, it is fire. And fire burns. Ella turned away, sickened. But part of her was afraid. What if they were right? What if she lost control again? What if she became the next sleeping figure in a crystal tomb? Later, Ella sat in her room alone. Sarah's words echoed in her mind. Fire burns. She thought of Vorax, of the ship she cracked, of the floor she melted. She closed her eyes and whispered, Am I dangerous? The fire inside her didn't answer, it just pulsed like a heartbeat. Shirok entered quietly. They want you to go with them, he said. Ella didn't look up. I know. They want to take you to the Flame Temple to train you, shape you, or lock me away. Xurok sat beside her. You don't have to go. I might hurt someone, Xurok. You already have, and you'll carry that. But you also saved lives, including mine. That counts for something. She looked at him. But what if I lose control again? Then I'll be there to remind you who you are. Ella stood in front of the ship airlock. Sarah waited, silent. Ella took a deep breath. I'll go with you, but only to see, not to kneel. Sarah bowed. We ask only that you understand. As Ella stepped onto the red ship, the doors closed behind her. Shurok and Vael watched in silence. The ship pulled away, leaving a trail of red sparks behind. Vael turned to Xurok. Did we do the right thing? Xurok didn't answer. His hand touched the hilt of his blade, and his eyes never left the stars. In the heart of the red ship, Ella walked beside Sarah down a glowing hallway. Images of fire danced along the walls, past soulfire hosts, each powerful, each alone. Sarah whispered, You are not the first, but you may be the last. Why me? Ella asked. I'm no one. Sarah looked at her. Exactly. That is why the flame chose you, because you still feel, and soon, you must choose what the flame becomes next. The red ship entered, a forgotten system. No colonies, no stations, just one ancient world, glowing faintly. Sarah stood beside Ella as the ship descended. This is where it began, she said softly. The first soulfire host lit the sky from here. The temple was built above her ashes. Ella stared out the window. The planet looked dead. Gray clouds, broken towers, no sound. But the fire in her chest grew stronger the closer they got. Like it knew this place. Like it remembered. The temple stood in the center of a crater, huge, silent, surrounded by statues of long-lost hosts, each face carved with care, each expression full of pain and power. Ella walked between them. Some looked proud, some looked broken, all looked alone. She whispered, Is this my future? Sarah said nothing. Inside the temple, flames danced in midair. They didn't burn, they hummed. Ella stepped into the central chamber. In the middle floated a sphere of living fire, white, gold, and red. The soul heart. Sarah bowed. This is the source, the beginning and the end. It waits for your choice. Ella approached slowly. The soul fire inside her pulled toward it. Her hands glowed. Her heartbeat matched its rhythm. It was beautiful. It was terrifying. The soul heart spoke, not with sound, but feeling. Visions filled her mind. Galaxies burning, empires falling. She saw herself on a throne of light, ruling, feared, alone. Then, another vision. She saw herself hiding the fire, burying it deep, living a quiet life on Earth. Safe, forgotten, empty. Tears slipped down her face. Both paths felt wrong. One was power without peace, the other was peace without purpose. Is there no middle? She asked the fire. The soul heart showed, Her a third vision, a path no host had taken before. Sharing the fire, not ruling, not hiding, teaching, guiding, protecting, letting others choose their own light. Sarah stepped forward. What do you see? I see a future, Ella said, but not just mine. She turned toward the soul heart. Her voice was clear. I don't want to destroy worlds, and I don't want to run away. I want to make sure this fire helps, not harms. Sarah hesitated. That has never been done. The soul fire burns all who touch it. Then I'll teach them how not to burn. She reached out with both hands, touched the soul heart, and something incredible happened. The flames leapt into her body, but they didn't hurt. They danced with her fire, merged, changed. The soul fire within her expanded, into the sky, into the stars, into the hearts of those willing to receive it. Across the galaxy, light burst from hidden places. Tiny sparks appeared in people who had always felt something different inside. Not full power, not destruction, just the seed, the choice. On Earth, a child looked up from her drawing as her pencil glowed briefly gold. A mining station, a tired worker touched metal and saw it melt into light. On a ship near the edge of the void, a pilot's eyes flashed white just long enough to scare away a lurking beast. The soul fire had returned, but not as a weapon, as a gift. Ella collapsed to her knees. Sarah ran to her side. Are you? I'm fine, Ella whispered. Just tired. Sarah helped her up. What have you done? I ended the old story, she said. I began a new one. Back aboard her ship, Surak and Vielle waited nervously. When Ella returned, both stared. Her eyes were still human, still her. But something behind them had changed. Deeper, calmer, brighter. Vielle stepped forward. Did you become a god? Ella smiled. No, I became myself. Surak crossed his arms. And what now? She looked at the stars through the window. Now we teach. Weeks later, the galaxy changed. Some feared her, some hated her. But others, many others, sought her. She trained the willing. She healed the broken. She lit candles in dark corners of the universe. And wherever she went, one phrase followed her. She was just a human until the universe's apex predator took a knee. But now they said something new, too. And then the stars followed her.